Well, welcome everybody there, and welcome to another edition. We've got the clown show just about ready to roll here again. Question period there. That is exactly what I'm talking about there. Question period. So if you know when I talk about clown shows, that is exactly why it will start soon. I just want you guys to know that. No, wrong one. Okay. So yes, we're just waiting for the clowns to start. So when it does start, they will come on there. We will go live. Welcome to question period there. This is the Canadian government. This is our dollars at work. And let me tell you, they're not really working. Not much I gotta say. Um, Settle in. It is going to be a good one there. This is, I'm going to just go in while I'm waiting. Um, yes, so again, I am literally adamant as to getting this government uh, gone. Trudeau is, I've got to hear if he even shows up. I'm hearing that he is at a school. He's got to do a drama presentation here, this guy. So you all want to know this there. It is going to be a very interesting question period there. I don't know what they're going to be talking about in today's session, but this should be very, very cool there. Say hello in the chat there. We're going to listen. You're going to hear some French. Yes, you will, but there will be somebody that is basically interpreting what they are saying in French. So if you haven't already, grab yourself something to drink. This is why Canadians are like the alcohol. Um, this is why this is why we have so much alcohol there. Good to see you there, Nate the Great there. Happy Thanksgiving to American friends there. Don't forget I am doing a stream. Um, I don't know what BB means, but anyways, whatever. Anyways, I just want to say we are spending a lot of money on alcohol. There's a lot of people that I talk to, and they're going crazy. So when they go live, we will go live. Let's listen in on it here. Here we go.
All those opposed to the honourable member moving the motion will please say nay.
Oh, here.
Agreed. The House has heard the terms of the motion. All those opposed to the motion will please say nay. Carried. It being 2:24, pursuant to order made earlier today, the House will now proceed to statements by members, followed by oral questions. The honourable member from Surrey Newton.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today on behalf of concerned Pakistani Canadian community members, including Dr. Barbara Rana, Mr. Saif Pannu, and Mr. Muhammad Akmal Gondara, to address the alleged recent killings of unarmed protesters in Islamabad supporting Imran Khan. A symbol of justice and democracy, Khan inspires millions striving for
All right, we will wait. I'll wait for questions to be asked. So yeah, I am just going to do this here, and I will. I'll just wait for that. Anyways, so yes, I have removed it from the stage for now. I will add it when it comes back. We are gonna watch these guys, the clown show. I'm just gonna post this so that way other people can join us here on YouTube. Hang on here. I just want to post this. Okay, there we go. I am posting this here. Let's see. I wonder if I can just do this. bear with me here, folks. There. Okay. Where is our? Okay, there we are. I gotta go here. Okay, I gotta go copy. Okay. Okay, and I am going to now. I'm gonna go to my. Perfect. Okay, there we go. So right now they're doing statements by members. I'm not interested in statements by members. I'm interested in getting the job done. Okay, so I am interested in. Okay, just wanted everyone to know. They're doing statements. Once question period does, I will take you in there. As they are gathering in the house there. I don't know how many more times that they will be, but this is exactly what I'm talking about. This is why okay, and there's wonderful commercials. All right. I love that they have commercials. Okay, so they're doing statements, which they always give statements, followed by question period. It will come quick. When it does, I will just let this go completely. You could watch it. Like I say, for the viewers, you will hear some French interpretation there, and not to worry because there is somebody that is always going to be say that in English, so you won't get to hear them speak French. You're not going to learn French, just like I'm not going to learn Spanish overnight. But let's just know that we will. We're just watching to see what happens. I'm curious as to how the opposition, how Trudeau is today. I wonder how much cocaine he's had today. I wonder if he's if he has so yes, welcome in everyone. I don't know, they seem to be having some problems. Yeah, let's not show the truth. Let's show false stuff. Oh, I love this. This is so good. A lump of coal. This is just statements. Yeah, we've got members, statements by members there, folks. And it's live. How about that? Pretty cool, eh? Where are we? There we are. Let's see. So yes, I'm still waiting. It should be about. I'm hoping soon. There. I have no idea what these guys want to accomplish today. When they say that they're working for us, when they say they're working for Canadians, they're really not. That they're working for is for the money and the paycheck. That's what they're working for. Okay, here we go. So I've got that. All right. So we'll just wait. Quite curious as to yeah, they say that they work for Canadians. Question period is to see how this clown show in Canada works. So bear with us here. I'm just posting. Here we go. So we're just waiting. We're just waiting. There's still statements that I don't know. Sometimes it can take up to 20 to 40 minutes there. It depends the speaker. I have no idea what they were chatting about beforehand there. I will take myself off there. But as you love the Canadian flag, you gotta love the Canadian flag there. Absolutely, gotta love it there. Hang on here. Where are we? There we go. I'm curious if I could get the all par. I want to see where is it. Okay, hang on here. Okay, let's see. Let's see how well this does. Welcome in there, everybody. We're just waiting for the cloud show to appear. Yes, we are on Parliament Hill, everybody there. So thank you so much for joining here there as we wait for question period to begin. This is our government. This is what they do. This is you know, a lot of the stuff that they do. It's exactly like this. There we are. So there you have it there. We're just waiting. They're still doing statements by members. I think a lot of the MPs are starting to take their chair. I'm guessing they're gonna still talk about this GST check. They're gonna talk about a lot of other things, but for the most part, it's gonna be quite interesting. Let's just say. I can tell you right now, and I will be posting a link if you are in my Discord. You know, for sure. And if you want to go back, that's fine. But just remember, when you're watching this, this is what Canadians face. This is Canada. Canada, the clown show, Parliament. So just so that way you all know. They are still doing statements by members. Yeah, statements by members. And once question period happens, believe me, we're gonna crank this puppy up and the volume.
Remember Robert Smythe, a true pillar of Centertown who passed away on November 15th. For over 50 years.
All right, I love these Black Friday sales. You need to get speakers. So yes, we're just waiting, everybody, waiting for the fantastic government to do their question period. Let's see what theatrics Trudeau's got today. Let's see what what he's got up his sleeve. I'm curious to see what he's got today. I always love it when he comes prepared with something. Okay, so I want to see. Must be a update somewhere. Nope. Yeah, they're still doing statements by members. I'm just checking to see if there's any Windows update. I don't think so. There. They're doing the statements, but you guys don't want to because it's a gag. You don't want to hear that. It literally will gag you. Yeah. So I will wait. I will wait for question period to begin, and then I'm gonna mute, and I'm gonna have my popcorn, and God only knows what else to expect there. I think that it's gonna start soon. And when it does, you'll get to hear the full thing. Like I said, just a disclaimer to everybody there: you will hear French. You will, but there is somebody that is in English. There is indeed. And then you get to see our government, Canada's government, in action and what we're facing here rather than what you guys are facing in the States there. And you'll understand just exactly what is happening, what's going on. So, yeah, they're still doing statements by members. Once that happens there, the volume will indeed be just waiting, just waiting, just waiting. We are waiting still. There's these statements by members are not my favorite. They're like literally these dumb statements that these people make. But we're gonna just see just how effective today is. Oh yes, I'm quite curious to see. Right now, it's just a bunch of liberals getting up to speak and, basically pandering to the leader, which is Justin Trudeau, and pandering to the prime ministers, basically saying, "Hey, I'll kiss your butt, no problem." And yes, it's still statements by members. It is. So, like I said, as well as happy Thanksgiving to our American friends there. I know that there's some NFL stuff going on there, and it is 16-7 for the Detroit Lions right now. It's the first game. The second one is the Cowboys. And that, okay, so there's still statements by members. The Cowboys and New York Giants. I wonder who's going to be performing halftime in Dallas. It's a triple header. And then tomorrow you've got my Raiders taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. As we wait, come on, let's get question period going, you guys there. Come on, guys. This is the one thing that I literally hate is that they have statements, then they have question period there, and and of course they got the NDP. Speaking. Okay, good. I don't know why. There are so many commercials. I think the government is hard done by that they need money from YouTube because they've never had the ads turned on. They've never had the ads turned on. Okay, so we've got statements still. Okay, we've got Block. We had NDP. That's good. Let's get some other voices. Let's hurry up and wrap this up there. It's still statements by members, which means they give a statement as to why, maybe something that's going on in their community. I'm not sure what the rules are for the statements by members, but I know that I know that there are rules in that. So like I said, I don't know what they can do. I think that and I know that the speaker and the three people just below the speaker's bench, they have to stand up, I guess, to acknowledge the member when they're speaking there. It's a parliament rule. And yeah, that's why they get up and they stand up, they nod their head, then they sit down. In other words, they've been recognized by the chair. When they're recognized by the chair, they can continue on with their statement. It's the same. It's the same, I believe, for question period there. Although I'm going to be watching more carefully for that. So I'll be watching a lot more carefully. Hey, Patriot there. Yes, absolutely there. Hey, we don't know, Andy. Good to see you. Good to see Patriot there. Good to see you guys. Make sure you hit the thumbs up there. I have no idea. Right now they're doing statements by members. And thankfully enough, I want to thank CPAC for not striking me there. I think it is Canadian taxpayers there. More liberals are just pandering to no, I have not yet, though, Patriot there. I was busy this morning, very busy. Sorry about that. I will check that out, though. Absolutely, it is on my list this weekend to do. Believe me, there's plenty of time. But I will absolutely. I'm going to check that out there. I actually got a couple of videos from you there, Patriot. So yes, Andy. I just know that these liberals are, and I guess I guess I could hide this so that way people could see what party and where these people are. And if you want to go chuck rotten eggs, I do condone that. I don't care what anybody says. So yeah, I condone. Oh, hang on here. Wait a minute. Are we into?
He's lost control of our borders. He opened Roxham Road, and he kept it open a year after the Americans offered to close it. He invited at least 700 foreign students by implicitly promising that they would be able to stay here permanently and who will now have to leave. And he lost 500,000 people. What is his plan to reestablish order at the borders and prevent American tariffs? The Honourable Minister of Public Services and Procurement. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As our colleague knows very well, the relationship with the United States is the most important relationship that we have with any other country. When it comes to security and when it comes to the economy, we work very well with the Americans, and we have for many years now, for many decades. And he also knows very well that 18 months ago, we signed a new third-party agreement, which the United States have celebrated since then, and which are going to bring back to the attention of our colleague. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition. Since the Prime Minister enjoys invading provincial jurisdiction, he's lost control of his own jurisdiction. He is incompetent when it comes to federal jurisdiction, like borders. It's the most important federal jurisdiction. In fact, now the provincial premiers have lost confidence in this Prime Minister. The Premier of Quebec is sending Quebec's provincial police force to defend the borders. Alberta's Premier is doing the same. Ontario's Premier is saying exactly the same things. How can we trust this Prime Minister? The Honourable Minister of Public Services and Procurement. Our colleague is talking about trust and jurisdiction. I answered this question a couple of minutes ago. If there's something that he can control, Mr. Speaker, is he could ask for his security clearance so that he could protect his own caucus. He's not able to protect himself and his own caucus. And that's an issue of trust, Mr. Speaker. The trust of parliaments and the trust of Canadians depends on the ability of the leader of the official opposition to control his agenda and to ask for a security clearance.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
This weak Prime Minister has lost control. He's lost control of immigration, lost control of our borders. And now we're facing massive threats to our economy. Right now, there are as many as 500,000 people here illegally. There are 700,000 students who came here with the implicit promise they'd be able to stay forever. And now they're being told they have to leave with the temptation that they might head south for the much stronger economy than we have here, which would provoke a massive retaliatory tariff. So what's the plan to reverse all the damage the Prime Minister's done?
The Honourable Minister for Immigration, Citizenship and Refugees.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Hundreds of thousands of people come to this country every year and then leave. They're called tourists. Hundreds of thousands of people come here as temporary residents and then they leave. Some become permanent residents. There is a plan to achieve that. They will migrate into permanent residency, but not all can stay here. And when they refuse to do so, they will be removed. But you can't make this up, Mr. Speaker. What the member opposite, the leader of the opposition, is doing with the member of Edmonton Millwoods is going around to these people, pandering to them, promising them to have visas and promising not to deport them. That's deport them. That is highly irresponsible and it's incompetent.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, that member hallucinates almost as badly as his weak leader, who refuses to stand and answer for his own border failures. Let's look at his record. He opened Roxham Road. He kept it open for a year longer than the Americans required. He put out a tweet saying, "Welcome to Canada," inviting people to come here illegally. According to that minister's department, there are 500,000 people here illegally, all of whom could be tempted to go south of the border, provoking a massive retaliatory response. So once again, what's the plan to fix what he broke?
The Honourable Minister for Immigration, Citizenship and Refugees.
Speaker, we'll tweet out the video of him pandering to people, entertaining false hope, promising visas to everyone, promising they won't get deported. That's highly incompetent. Worse than that, Mr. Speaker, is he's refusing to get his security clearance. That is irresponsible for any purported leader of this country, any responsible person in politics. He needs to grow a pair, get the briefing.
This is my favorite tuning plugin for vocals. Here's why.
If you're so in love, then why?
Reason.
There's a large flexibility that Speaker gives, of course, to the language that's used in here, but I think that might be beyond the border. I'm going to ask the Honourable Minister if he could just withdraw those words.
Mr. Speaker, I withdraw those words. On a day like this, I would say he's all flannel and no axe.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, once again shows the erratic, out of control government we have over there. His Prime Minister is hiding from questions. His minister is losing control of his words and his mind. This is a government that is falling to pieces. The Prime Minister has lost control of the border, lost control of immigration, lost control of our finances, and now lost control of his caucus, who are saying that they've been intimidated into voting in favor of his tiny tax trick. He's lost control, but he's holding on to power.
The Honourable Leader of the Government in the House of Commons.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I don't know what the member is talking about. On this side of the House, we can have conversations, we can have debates, and we don't get shut down from speaking like the members opposite, Mr. Speaker. But Mr. Speaker, let's talk about today. We are moving forward with a GST cut for every single Canadian. And what have we heard from the Leader of the Opposition? He's opposed to tax cuts, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, he's all talk, no walk. He's not there for Canadians. On this side of the House, we're going to support Canadians and let our members have debates and conversations. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Alors, si vous...
Order. Order.
L'honorable...
The Honourable Member for La Prairie. For weeks now, the Bloc Québécois has been asking the Liberals to increase resources at the borders. Weeks that they've just come back with the condescension that they're so well known for, that they have a plan. But listen, yesterday, the Prime Minister announced to his colleagues, the premiers, that he was going to do what the Bloc has been suggesting for a week now, increase resources at the border. You know, up to last night, there was no plan and there were no resources at the border. So why do the Liberals always have to wake up at the last possible minute? The Honourable Minister of Public Service and Procurement. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Our colleague knows very well that the relationship with the United States is the most important relationship that we have when it comes to security, economics, and the border. And that's why for many decades now, we've worked well and actively with the Americans, and we've done that in recent years, particularly under Mr. Trump's administration. Mr. Trudeau, rather, the Prime Minister, had an excellent meeting yesterday with the premiers, and it's on the basis of ongoing collaboration that we will deal with the issues raised in that conversation. The Honourable Member for La Prairie. Well, better late than never, the Liberals have finally realized they need to increase resources at the border, but they're still unable to tell us exactly when, how much, and how. And that's really serious because in just a couple of months, Donald Trump is going to impose tariffs on our entire economy. They only have 2 months left to fix the leaky border. And until last night, they continued to claim they didn't think there was a problem. Now that they've finally seen the light, can they please explain what the details of their plan are? The Honourable Minister of Global Affairs. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As you know, and Canadians know, borders are very important, and it's in the interest of the Americans that they be protected. It's the interest of Canadians that they protected. And that's why we are working together on this question. I had a conversation with Premier Legault this morning, and I also spoke with Quebec's International Relations Minister. I've also had the opportunity to speak with a number of influential Republican and Democrat senators in the United States who are all allies so that we can work together to make sure that our two countries are protected. The Honourable Member for Rosemont La Petite Patrie. Mr. Speaker, as we see every Christmas when things get going again, the Liberals woke up just the other day and said, hey, we're going to send out $250 checks. But the NDP noted that they forgot a lot of people, seniors, persons with disabilities, people who aren't able to work. The Liberals panicked, and so they pushed that measure back. But, you know, the real question here is, are they going to fix their measure so that they can help people who really need it? Speaker, because we are going to be voting with the support of the NDP for a tax holiday for all Canadians, including seniors. And we'd like to thank them because on the other side of the House, what we're seeing is a Grinch who's going to stay a Grinch and who doesn't want to vote for a tax holiday. So I'd like to thank the NDP because they have a heart like we do for all Canadians, but support all Canadians across the country, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Victoria.
But they're not supporting all Canadians. The Liberals are letting Canadians down. Almost everyone is cutting back. Life is expensive, and that is especially true for students, seniors, and people with disabilities. And the Liberals' plan? excluding them from the $250 rebate. Even the Liberals' own MPs think this is absurd. And the Conservatives, they want to give tax breaks to billionaires like Galen Weston, but won't give a tax break to everyday Canadians. When the Conservatives show you who they are, believe them. So will the Liberals fix their botched rebate, yes or no?
Hear, hear. The Honourable Minister for Tourism and Economic Development.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to thank my colleague for her question. And, you know, we introduced for the first time a Canada Disability benefit. You know, my brother has a disability. Ours is the first government that has put in place direct help for people with a physical disability. Mr. Speaker, the $250 check that we're going to send out, it's a check that we want to send out to workers. And coming from a party that has always claimed to stand up for workers, it seems a bit ironic that they're against it. That having been said, we think that 1 million seniors who work will have access to that check, and also persons with disabilities who are working, Mr. Speaker.
Then I have the Honourable Member from Thornhill.
After doubling the cost of housing, adding an inflationary carbon tax to everything that Canadians buy, and giving us the highest levels of debt in the G7, the Prime Minister's plan is a temporary, tiny 2-month tax trick. But not even small businesses are fooled. The Canadian Federation of Independent Business says that only 4% of small businesses expect a sales boost because of the latest last-ditch effort for the Prime Minister to save his own job. If he's so sure about his plan, why doesn't he call a carbon tax election and let Canadians decide? Right.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
With respect, the member ought to look at what the Retail Council of Canada has said on the matter, what Restaurants Canada has said on the matter as well, Mr. Speaker. Small business owners in my community across the country will benefit as a result of this tax cut. It's exactly what it is, a tax cut for workers, a tax cut for families. It's also surprising, Mr. Speaker, and I just heard the name. They talked about Aaron O'Toole. That's exactly right. He put this initiative on the table in the summer of 21. We're supporting it now. You know who else supported it? The Leader of the Opposition, Mr. Speaker. He reposted a tweet from Aaron O'Toole at that time, but doesn't want to support it now, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member from Thornhill.
Mr. Speaker, this isn't a tax cut. It's a distraction before a much, much bigger permanent tax hike. Even his own Liberal MPs are now opposing this. The member from Hamilton East Stony Creek says that he was threatened with, quote, consequences if he voted against it. Rather than threatening his own MPs, muzzling them like he's accused others of doing, we have a weakened Prime Minister terrified of facing Canadians. Right. So if he's so sure about his own leadership, if he's so sure about his own plan, why won't he allow his own MPs to have a free vote on this one today?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Housing, Infrastructure and Communities.
Workers going for groceries, Mr. Speaker, who want to eat out, who want to buy gifts during Christmas, Mr. Speaker. That's who's on our mind, Mr. Speaker. Families who want to buy diapers for their kids, who want to buy kids' clothes. That young family who's excited about a new child coming into the family, Mr. Speaker. Car seats are expensive. There's a tax savings on that too, Mr. Speaker. The Leader of the Opposition supported this initiative in 2021, but doesn't want to now because it's a Liberal initiative. Will the real Pierre Poilievre stand up in this House of Commons?
The Honourable Member from Calgary Forest Lawn. Sorry, I did not hear the Honourable Member, and I'm going to ask members to, if members were able to hold their voices unless recognized by the Speaker, it'd be easier for the Speaker to hear a statement. The Honourable Member apparently had mentioned the name of another Honourable Member. I'll ask the Honourable Member to just rise and use the name of...
It's an honest mistake, Mr. Speaker. I would show.
The Honourable Member from Calgary Forest Lawn.
Turning temporary 2-month tax tricks won't save this desperate Prime Minister. After doubling housing costs, doubling the national debt, doubling food bank usage, now he's blaming Canadians for not feeling the vibe of this pricey gimmick. Now he's even threatening his own Liberal MP from Hamilton East Stony Creek for not supporting this vote-buying scheme. Instead of threatening MPs to take cents off Skittles, Call a carbon tax election now so common sense Conservatives can axe the tax for good.
The Honourable Leader of the Government in the House of Commons.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, I know the Leader of the Opposition knows a thing or two about threatening his own MPs, because if they don't speak in three-word slogans, we never hear from them again. But, Mr. Speaker, what I can say is that on this side of the House, we are excited to deliver a tax cut for Canadians. And for the mom who has to buy diapers and groceries and a car seat, this is meaningful for her, Mr. Speaker. Who it's not meaningful for is the Leader of the Opposition, because when it comes to supporting everyday Canadians, he would rather support himself than give them a break over the holidays. That's so disappointing, and Canadians across this country are disappointed in him. Thank you.
The Honourable Member from Calgary Forest Lawn.
The only thing they're cutting is moms that have to cut down on the nutritious food that they can give to their kids and sending them into food bank lines. And after this temporary tax trick is done, they're going to jack up the carbon tax on April the 1st, making everything more expensive. And anyone who doesn't believe in this Prime Minister's radical plan, he threatens them with consequences. This inflationary vote buying scheme will add another $6 billion to this Prime Minister's growing deficit. Instead of taking chump change off chocolates, call a carbon tax election now so we can axe the tax for good.
The Honourable Government House Leader in the House of Commons.
Mr. Speaker, the GST that we are proposing to remove is going to be removed on essential items like groceries, like children's clothing, like diapers and car seats. Mr. Speaker, I don't know if the honourable colleague has children, but if he did, he would know just how expensive those items are for Canadians. And for Canadians who have to buy these essential items, this tax cut makes a difference, Mr. Speaker. I don't understand why Conservative members of Parliament don't get that, but I hope they change their mind and support this measure, because it's a...
Ask the Honourable Member from South Shore St. Margaret's. Please, I will ask again the Honourable Member from South Shore St. Margaret's to please not take the floor unless recognized by the Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Bellechasse, Lévis. The Prime Minister is desperately trying to create a distraction, Mr. Speaker. He's trying to trick voters with a 2-month tax trick, but everyone can see through what he's doing. Earlier today, somebody came to my riding office to criticize what the Prime Minister is trying to do. This government is uniting Canadians against them, Mr. Speaker. Will they give Canadians election so that they can elect common sense Conservatives to give hope back to Canadians? The Honourable Minister of Tourism and Economic Development. Once again, Mr. Speaker, today is a great day, Mr. Speaker. Canadians across the country, Quebecers, are going to have access to a tax holiday. I don't understand how my colleague from across the way doesn't want to support Canadians. Their hidden program, Mr. Speaker, is to make cuts to housing, among other things, Mr. Speaker. It's very clear that they don't want to support Quebecers. They don't want them to have a tax cut at the toughest time of the year, Mr. Speaker. The Honourable Member for Bellechasse, Lévis. Listen, Conservatives will cut taxes and axe the GST on new homes. That'll mean savings up to $50,000 on the purchase of a new home, and it'll create 30,000 new housing starts, Mr. Speaker. That's a real idea to bring a long-term solution to problems created by this government. Canadians are smart. They can see what's going on. They're going to pay the price for this government. That's why we need elections now, Mr. Speaker. I will ask the Leader of the Official Opposition, please, to sit down. The Honourable Minister of Housing, Infrastructure and Community. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honestly, it's difficult to accept that question from the Conservative Party because in her province, in Quebec, we have signed an agreement with the province to build over 8,000 new affordable housing units. with a major investment with $1.8 billion. That's a successful agreement that's in place now. The Conservative Party's position is to cut that agreement, to cut this program that's going to build affordable housing. That's not acceptable, Mr. Speaker. It's not an acceptable position, Mr. Speaker. The Honourable Member for Shefford. The government tabled its bill on the GST and set aside the $250 checks that they promised to just about everyone except for seniors and except for those who are the most vulnerable. They should take this opportunity to take a step back and seriously ask themselves what their priorities are. This government is ready to spend $6 billion to buy votes, but they're refusing to improve OAS for 65 to 74-year-old seniors. That would fix the injustice that they're suffering from right now, and it would cost 2 times less than this gift. Will they give royal sanction to C319 instead of trying to buy votes? The Honourable Minister of Tourism and Economic Development for the Regions. Mr. Speaker, all I'm seeing today is, it's not boat buying. I want to make sure that Quebecers and Canadians have the opportunity to buy essential products during the holiday season. What I don't understand is how the Bloc Québécois can't support a measure that's going to directly help not only all Quebecers, but also seniors. Mr. Speaker, today I got an email from a constituent saying the Bloc just lost my vote because I'm insulted by the way that they are blackmailing us. Order. The member for Shefford. Now, this is, becoming a habit for this government, forgetting seniors. They're saying, look, we've done enough for them, so nothing else, too bad. But there are seniors who won't even be able to benefit from the GST holiday because all of their income is going to cover their basic needs. The government could act if they're able to give $250 to just about everyone, just to show how generous they are. Well, then they'd be able to spend $6 billion. And if they're able to spend $6 billion, to buy votes, well, they could invest $3 billion in OAS instead of giving money to lots of people who don't need it. Why not simply improve OAS? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Where was the Bloc when we increased pensions for seniors over 75? They voted against it. Where was the Bloc when we increased the guaranteed income supplement by 10%? And, that's, for the most vulnerable seniors. Where were they for the Canada Dental Program? They voted against seniors in all those cases, Mr. Speakers. Where was the Bloc? Well, they simply voted against all those measures. The Honourable Member for Shefford. Well, it's pretty clear what Liberal values are, giving money to a couple that makes $300,000 a year, but giving nothing to seniors. They think that that is fair. The Liberals said the Conservatives are marking political points by having no sense of social justice and no solidarity for those who are having a hard time making ends meet. So we should do the same thing. It must be working. If it works for them, it'll work for us. The government needs to get its values straight. On the one hand, there's their $250 check that no party here agrees with. And on the other side, there's C319, which would improve pensions for seniors, and all parties agree that it should be passed. Why aren't they making the right choice? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary. Thanks, Mr. Speaker. I would invite the Bloc Québécois to go speak to their constituents, to look them in the eyes, and every time they say that they want to increase pensions for seniors aged 64 to 75, but they should explain why they voted against all the measures for seniors in Quebec that we put in place. They didn't want the improved GIS. They didn't want the dental plan. They didn't want anything for seniors, Mr. Speaker. So they're saying one thing on the one hand, and they should say the same thing on the other hand.
The Honourable Member for Mission, Matsqui, Fraser Canyon.
Mr. Speaker, because the NDP Liberals are trying to fool Canadians with a 2-month tax trick, small businesses are being forced and are scrambling to reprogram their point of sales machines and to find the time and money to pay for these changes. It is a shame the Minister of Small Business knew and did not care that this tax trick would hurt the very businesses she purports to help. We all know an election is coming. Can we simply stop with the desperation and call for a carbon tax election today?
The Honourable Minister for Small Businesses.
Mr. Speaker, the only thing that member and his party can offer small businesses are slogans on repeat, cuts to programs that are essential, and cuts. So, Mr. Speaker, our tax break is not just good for small businesses, it's good for their customers. This tax break isn't just helping families, it's also supporting the entire community in boosting their neighborhood independent grocery stores, restaurants, retailers, and small businesses that power our local economy. CRA has provided further guidance on this today, which will help support small businesses, and small businesses can call the CRA hotline to get further support. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Bay of Quinte.
Mr. Speaker, 40% of Canada's economy is tied to our relationship and trade with the U.S. But after 9 years, we have no softwood lumber deal. And what's happened? Tariffs have doubled, and they're set to double again if we have a first increase, but a second if Trump gets his way and we don't fix the border. After 9 years, Mr. Speaker, we have lost 90,000 jobs in softwood lumber, 40,000 each in Ontario, Quebec alone. The last Prime Minister solved this in 79 days. It's been 3,311 days. Where's the plan for softwood lumber?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we will always stand up for forestry workers and our lumber industry. We stood up for Canada when the U.S. imposed aluminum and steel tariffs on us. What did the Conservatives said? They urged us to back down and capitulate. When we renegotiated NAFTA back in 2018, we stood strong and protected Canada's economy, while the Conservatives asked us to capitulate. We have a proven track record when it comes to negotiating, Mr. Speaker. We will continue to protect Canadian workers and Canadian industry. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Bay of Quinte.
Mr. Speaker, there's no Team Canada when the plan is to pile on taxes, make energy and production more expensive, and sideline our Canadian industry on the global stage. What kind of team has no game plan after 9 years, has lost 90,000 softwood lumber jobs, got kicked out of CUSMA negotiations, and sat on the sidelines when Mexico overcame Canada for the USA's #1 trading partner? But here's a Canada First plan. Axe the tax, scrap the cap on oil and gas production, and fix softwood lumber. Why doesn't the Prime Minister use that common sense Canada First plan?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister for International Trade.
Mr. Speaker, the U.S. is a very important partner to our economy and to our relationships with the rest of the world. When you talk about trade, we have $1.3 trillion of trade last year with the U.S., which is a record since we renegotiated NAFTA in 2018. Mr. Speaker, we will continue to be at the table with a Team Canada approach as we continue to protect Canadian businesses and workers. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I ask the Honourable Member from Fort McMurray Cold Lake to please not take the floor unless recognized by the Speaker. The Honourable Member for Nunavut.
Okaktitiyi, 3 First Nations children have died since January due to this government's non-compliance with Jordan's Principle. The Liberals are actively fighting against the Human Rights Tribunal's orders and allowing First Nations children to die while in care. There are over 40,000 Jordan's Principle requests in the backlog. Liberals are not even trying to fix this. When will the Liberals stop fighting First Nations children and uphold First Nations rights to care?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Mr. Speaker, we care deeply about First Nations children. Jordan's Principle ensures that First Nations children can access the care they need when they need it, regardless of where they live. Since 2016, the ISC has funded approximately 7.8 million products, services, and supports for First Nations children. The number of requests has grown exponentially over the years, and we're increasing funding so ISC can meet the demand. All governments need to do their part to keep First Nations children safe, healthy, and supported.
The Honourable Member for Skeena-Bulkley Valley.
Here's the latest horrifying story involving the airline's mistreatment of people with disabilities. Air Canada failed to secure a brain cancer patient in a wheelchair. She fell out and was left bleeding and bruised. We're talking about a failure to protect people's safety and dignity. We're talking about a failure to uphold their basic human rights, and yet Despite dozens of stories like these, people with disabilities have seen zero action from this government. Either these Liberals don't think things in the air sector have gotten bad enough yet to act, or they simply don't care. Which one is it?
Good question. The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Transport.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank the member for the question. Mr. Speaker, this government takes accessibility very seriously, ensuring that all passengers are treated with dignity. In May, for example, we had a summit that listened and learned from those that have accessibility issues, and of course, recommendations came out of those meetings to ensure that we work with the airlines and, quite frankly, Mr. Speaker, demand that they address the issues as the member has brought forward. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Good answer.
The Honourable Member for Humber Valley Black Creek.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I continue to hear a lot of noise from the members opposite about affordability, but no real solutions. Last week, our government made an exciting announcement to support Canadians over this holiday season. Would the minister share?
The Honourable Member for Humber River Black Creek can start from the top, please.
Mr. Speaker, I continue to hear a lot of noise from the members opposite about affordability, but no real solutions. Last week, the government made an exciting announcement to support Canadians over this holiday season. Would the minister share more details about our government's plan to put more money in the pockets of Canadians?
The Honourable Minister for Natural Resources and Energy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to thank the Honourable Member for the question. We know that Canadians need more support these days, and that is why we introduced the Canada Child Benefit, lifting hundreds of thousands of Canadian children out of poverty. We cut childcare costs by 50% to help families, and we cut taxes for small business. And now we are giving all Canadians a tax break. We're eliminating the GST on essential goods for 2 months to support Canadians through the holidays. This means groceries, this means children's clothes, and more will be tax-free, so Canadians will have more money in their pockets. Conservatives oppose this just as they want to cut all kinds of supports for Canadians. While they play political games, we are working for Canadians.
The Honourable Member for Calgary Shepherd.
Canada's 3 million temporary migrants do not appear poised to leave voluntarily. That's the headline from a major Canadian newspaper. The immigration minister naively expects that they'll leave voluntarily. Migrant advocates admit they have no such plans. This sets the stage for mass overstays and more illegal border crossings into the United States. This strains our relations with the newly elected U.S. administration, now threatening a 25% tariff if we don't secure our border. What is the Prime Minister's plan to enforce the laws and ensure that people who need to leave do so?
The Honourable Minister for Immigration, Citizenship and Refugees.
First, Mr. Speaker, the members opposite can get their facts straight. They float around numbers, 3 million, 5 million. They actually don't know what they're talking about in response to their own order paper question. I hear them heckling me, but who they really should be heckling is the leader of the opposition, who is pandering to all these groups, promising visas to everyone and not to deport anyone. That's not responsible. He really needs to grow up if he's going to be responsible. Thank you.
Now, ask the Honourable Member from Grand Prairie Mackenzie, please, not to take the floor unless recognized by the Speaker. The Honourable Member from Calgary Shepherd.
Mr. Speaker, the minister had no answers at committee when I asked him the same questions. He doesn't know his numbers because he has no plan. It's really simple. The lack of a plan threatens the integrity of our immigration system. It risks significant diplomatic damage with this newly incoming U.S. administration. Are they deploying more police to the border? They don't know. Are they deploying advanced technology and are they using it for border surveillance? They don't know. Are they going to use CBSA with more resources, more agents on the border? They don't know. YouTube videos aren't enough. Will the Prime Minister present a Made in Canada First plan that will make sure that everybody that's required to leave will actually do so?
Here, here, here. Well. Order. Order.
I guess you're not grown up enough, eh?
Order. The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister for Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, it seems the Conservatives are a little nervous about me responding, probably because I'm going to point out the fact that they cut over 1,000 jobs from CBSA. They were warned that their cuts would lead to more guns, more human trafficking, more drugs entering our border. But what did we do on this side of the House? We reversed those cuts. We invest in our police services. As a result, we see an increase of 600% more misrepresentation in investigations happening, and a decrease of migrants entering the border to the south by 50% because investments work.
The honourable member for Mégantic-l'Érable. Hear how nervous I am, Mr. Speaker. Well, after 9 years of incompetence on immigration, the Prime Minister has no plan to protect our borders. Imagine only 2 days before President Trump's threats, 16 people were arrested trying to cross our border illegally, and many have also crossed into the U.S. since the beginning of 2024. What's the Prime Minister's plan to put Canadians first, protect our borders and our jobs? The Honourable Minister of Global Affairs. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. There is no more important relationship than that of Canada and the U.S. worldwide. And that's why we always have to invest more in this relationship. And we know that Canadians want to make sure we protect their interests. And that's why for us, the border is very important, as is security, as is for the Americans as well. I have been very involved recently, speaking with my counterparts, also with several U.S. senators. And of course, we do have a very good plan because it's in the interest of Canadians. The Honourable Member from Mégantic-l'Érable. Mr. Speaker, we're here because they have created chaos and disorder in our immigration system at the borders. After 9 years, it's clear this Prime Minister is too weak to face Donald Trump. In 2016, he opened up our borders to the world after promising the Canadian dream. All of these people have to go back to their homes. How will he ensure that none of them will immigrate illegally to the U.S.? There's no plan to protect our borders. When will he trigger an election so we can have a strong leader that will put Canada first? The Honourable Minister. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we know full well we have to protect our border, and that's why with the Biden administration in the past, we were able to conclude a safe third country agreement. We will also reach an agreement with the future U.S. administration. It's in our interest and in theirs, and this government's as well. We have this experience with the Trump administration. So rather than doing petty politics in the backs of Canadians, we're going to work together, and it's together we'll be able to come out on top of this. The Honourable Member for Joliette. The GST vacation is a $1.6 billion gift to people who don't need it. It's a reward for spending. Low-income seniors won't see a big difference, nor will minimum wage workers or families who receive Christmas baskets. But it does pay off for those who have reservations at top restaurants or buy their New Year's Eve champagne by the case. How can the Liberals and the NDP subsidize the spending of the rich while abandoning those who are tightening their belts this Christmas? The Honourable Minister of Tourism. Mr. Speaker, I'm a member in a riding where people often, at the end of the month, have to go buy their food at Dollarama. So when they minimize the impact of the measures we're taking today on the wallets of Canadians and Quebecers, it means they don't understand people who live in a very vulnerable way. We want to give them a break, a tax break that will allow them to have a better holiday season. And I don't understand how the Bloc won't vote in favor of this measure. The Honourable Member for Joliette. Food isn't taxed, so it's not a good example. The GST vacation also puts our SMEs at a disadvantage. Walmart and Best Buy don't mind paying to have their systems adapted and the GST removed, but our small businesses can afford to lose thousands of dollars in adaptation or go through the headache of sorting out which products are taxed and which aren't. Some have told us that it's more profitable to close for 2 months. It's not our small businesses that should have to pay the price when the Liberals and the NDP want to buy votes. Will they at least compensate SMEs?
None of
The Honourable
for small businesses.
Monsieur le Président.
Mr. Speaker, this tax holiday will help many Canadians and also give small businesses a lift as well. Restaurants Canada has said this measure is a great victory for the restaurant industry, and it expects that our tax break will increase sales, which will bring in $1 million in additional revenue for restaurants. This tax break will help a greater number of people to go to small businesses, and which will boost revenue and our economy.
The honourable member from Haldeman Norfolk.
Mr. Speaker, a new study from the Fraser Institute has shown that that violent and property crime rates in Canada are exceeding those in the United States. In 2014, before this Prime Minister took office, crime rates were lowest. Now violent crime is up 43.8%, which is 14% higher than in the United States. Similarly, our property crime rates are up 27.5% higher than in the United States. When will this Prime Minister admit that he should abandon his failed soft on crime policies?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister for Public Safety.
While Conservatives use skewed data to talk down Canada, we're actually investing in the brave police who do this hard work every single day. And as a result of those investments, we're seeing massive success in our police services. For example, October 31st, the RCMP announced the largest, most sophisticated drug seizure with over 95 million of lethal doses of meth and fentanyl, because that's what investments make while Conservatives talk down Canada.
The honourable member for Haldeman Norfolk.
Now that answer would suggest that these statistics are all in our head, yet the data clearly reveals that Canada has become a much more dangerous place under this Prime Minister. Since 2015, violent crime is up 50% and gun crime is up 116%.
Those are numbers.
Since that has happened, we have seen no urgency from this Prime Minister. Where is the urgency? When will he admit that his dangerous soft on crime policies has made Canada unsafe, and now Canadians are paying the price?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, I think it's safe to say we don't want to know what's in that member's head. But on this side of the House, we are actually investing in the RCMP. We work with police right across this country. And as a result, we're seeing some of the largest drug and gun seizures in this country's history. Conservatives talk a big game, but what they did is they cut to the guns and gangs program to the RCMP. They cut resources at CBSA and our borders. And what did that do? That brought in drugs and guns into our country, and Conservatives made those cuts.
The honourable member for Chicoutimi-Lafleur. Mr. Speaker, violent crime in Canada is over 14% higher than in the US. We learned this week in the media that a woman had been kidnapped, beaten, and strangled in Abitibi. This government has abandoned victims, fully backed by the Bloc, who voted for C5, a law that allows violent criminals to serve their sentences in front of Netflix. Bloc members will have to answer for their actions and explain why they prefer to support criminals and rather than victims. When's the election? The Honourable Minister of Justice. Mr. Speaker, let's talk about investment. What we did on this side of the House is to invest to protect Canadians, including Quebecers. We invested in border services. We've invested in scanners to keep our borders safe, particularly at the Port of Montreal. The results are as follows. What we saw in Quebec is a decrease of 42% in vehicle thefts. That's action to fight crime, to protect Canadians. Thank you. The honourable member for Dorval, Lachine, LaSalle. Mr. Speaker, our government believes that Canadians who work must benefit from support to allow them to face the rising cost of living. Last week, we announced the new Canadian Workers Rebate, which will provide a direct, tax-free benefit to millions of Canadians. Can the minister explain how this rebate will make a tangible difference in the lives of workers? Thank you. The Honourable Minister of the Environment and Climate Change. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank my colleague for her question. It's a great day for Canadians because we are announcing a tax break for the holiday season to help families and workers, Mr. Speaker, to buy food, go to restaurants and buy children's clothing. It's incredible to hear the Conservative leader force his members to vote against this measure, even though 2 years ago himself, he was supporting this. It's so hypocritical. And you know, we call that in my area, a big talker and a small doer.
The honourable member for Dauphin, Swan River, Neepawa.
Mr. Speaker, yesterday at committee, the Environment Minister recklessly promised to quadruple the carbon tax despite American tariffs that will cripple our economy. He gleefully stated, of course, we're going to continue with the carbon tax. With 40% of our economy dependent on trade with the United States, he should have just said, of course, I'm going to kill our economy.
That's right.
He's done it before, he'll do it again. Why is this minister so hell-bent on vandalizing Canada's economy?
Why? The Honourable Minister for the Environment and Climate Change.
Mr. Speaker, because of carbon pricing in Canada, it's generating $25 billion of investment every year in our economy, Mr. Speaker. It's putting more money in the pockets of 8 out of 10 Canadians, and it's helping us reduce our emissions for the first time in our history. If it was up for the Conservative Party of Canada, they would let the planet burn, Mr. Speaker. They would bring the economy down. They would let Canadians down. Not on this side of the House, Mr. Speaker. We're there for Canadians. We will fight climate change. We will support the economy. We will create good jobs for Canadians.
The honourable member for Dauphin, Swan River, Neepawa.
Mr. Speaker, this Prime Minister's radical environment minister is willing to drive Canada's economy into the ground with no remorse. The carbon tax will cost the Canadian economy $25 billion by 2030. In the face of 25% tariffs, the minister can do something. He can cancel his planned quadrupling of the carbon tax. If the minister is unwilling to protect our economy, will the Prime Minister at least allow Canadians to protect our economy and call a carbon tax election?
The Honourable Minister for Order. The Honourable Minister for the Environment and Climate Change.
The Conservative Party of Canada, when it comes to many things, including climate change, is extremely reckless. This is the party that's let the people of Jasper down, Mr. Speaker. For 4 consecutive years, they invested nothing to protect Jasper from forest fires from 2011 to 2015. Zero hectares of fire removal, 0 hectares of mechanical removals to prevent forest fires. They let Jasper down. Now they want to let the Canadians down in the face of climate change, not on this side of the House, Mr. Speaker.
Order. The honourable member from Lakeland.
9 years of economic vandalism proves these NDP Liberals aren't worth the cost. The radical environment minister's own department now admits their carbon tax will cut $25 billion from Canada's economy in the next 6 years, but he doesn't care. He said they'll quadruple it anyway. Canadians already can't afford to eat or to heat, house, or drive themselves. So with the threat of 25% crushing tariffs on Canadian goods, will the Liberals finally put Canada first, enacts the tax for all for good so Canadians can actually afford to live.
The Honourable Minister for Natural Resources and
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm honestly not sure how Canadians can give any credence to anything that member and those folks over there say. That member on the other side of the House ran on a platform that included putting a price on pollution. It is the height of hypocrisy. At the same time, she and her colleagues are denying the science of climate change, and they are condemning our children to a future that is a terrible one indeed. From an economic perspective, they have no plan to build an economy that will actually create good jobs for our kids and our grandkids. It is absolutely shameful, the positions that they take.
Colleagues. The Honourable Member from Scarborough Agincourt.
Mr. Speaker, last year we announced a $471 million federal investment in Toronto through the Housing Accelerator Fund to unlock nearly 12,000 new homes over the next 3 years and over 53,000 over the next decade. A few weeks ago, the Conservative leader announced his plan to shut down home building by making dangerous cuts to federal housing investments. People in my riding of Scarborough Agincourt can't afford these kinds of Conservative housing cuts. Can the Minister of Housing update the House on how he is solving the housing crisis?
The Honourable Minister for Housing, Infrastructure and Communities.
I want to thank my colleague for her advocacy on behalf of the community that she represents. Mr. Speaker, we are putting billions of dollars on the table to help cities cut red tape, to change their zoning practices.
I'm going to ask the Honourable Member, please, from Kamloops, Thompson, Caribou, to please not participate. He's not recognized by the chair. I'm going to ask the Honourable Minister to start from the top.
We know that it takes investments if we're going to solve the housing crisis. We put billions of dollars on the table to help communities cut red tape, to change their zoning practices, to speed up permitting so they can build more homes faster. Mr. Speaker, the Conservative response to this program, which is helping construction go up and rents come down, is to advocate for cuts to communities, including cuts in communities represented by 68 Conservative members of Parliament. We are going to put money on the table to help cities build homes more quickly. It is a shame that Conservative members of Parliament won't even stand up for the communities that they represent to get their fair share of this important fund.
The Honourable Member from South Okanagan, West Kootenay.
Mr. Speaker, the government's massive public sector pension plan surplus is so large that by law they have to draw on it. This surplus was created by contributions from both the employer and workers. Yet the Liberals continue to leave workers out and follow the former Conservative two-tier pension plan, which forces 100,000 public service employees to work for 5 years longer than their colleagues. When will the Liberals reverse this regressive plan and treat all workers fairly?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the President of the Treasury Board.
Mr. Speaker, we obviously recognize the very important work done by the Federal Public Service. We want to make sure that we look into this matter very carefully as to where this money goes. It will go into the general accounts for the moment. We'll be discussing this with different parts of the government, including the unions, and we will come to the right decision. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Good job. The Honourable Member from Saanich, Gulf Islands.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to raise with the Minister of Justice, Bill C-63. We finally see some movement. It's gone for pre-study to committee. Legal groups that have looked at this, many people have reached me that this four-part bill will help protect children from sexual predation online. If we look at parts 1 and 4, where we have large degrees of consensus, parts 2 and 3 remain problematic. Can the minister tell us what will he do to improve and expedite passage of this bill to protect our children and other vulnerable people from online sexual predators?
The Honourable Minister of Justice and Attorney General.
I thank the member from Saanich Gulf Islands, who's often acts as the conscience of this chamber. What I would do is simply appeal to all parliamentarians. The issue of protecting kids from child sex predators should not be a partisan issue. Getting this bill into committee is of paramount importance for all of us who want to combat online sex predation, people who would take vulnerable children and spread revenge porn about them. If we all could just simply listen to Amanda Todd's mother, to Rehtaeh Parsons' mother, we can get behind this bill, get it to committee, get it off to the Senate, and protect children. That's what Bill 663 is about. I hope everyone in this chamber can support it.
Alors, ça nous amène à la fin.
This brings us to the end of the period provided for oral questions. Now it's time for the week.
All right, so there you have it. That's question period. Thanks for tuning in. Rewatch it. Rewind. Have a good rest of your fantastic afternoon there. And this is exactly what we face. Never ends. It never ends. And believe me, Monday, because tomorrow, well, they're all going to be Black Friday shopping in Canada. They're in Ottawa. Apparently there's some good deals, so that maybe they'll go get some shoes and they're going to pay that GST, and maybe then they'll think twice about, this carbon tax garbage and that. Take care, everyone. Thanks for joining. That's Canada's Parliament behind me, as you can see. Not sure, but yes, have a great rest of your day. So long. Bye for now.